This is Top Accolade Global News Update. I am Abiodun Mohammed. China is set to announce in coming days an easing of its COVID-19 quarantine protocols and a reduction in mass testing, sources told Top Accolade News. A marked shift in policy after anger over the world's toughest curbs fueled widespread protests. Cases nationwide remain near record highs, but the changes come as some cities have been lifting their lockdowns in recent days, and a top official said the ability of the virus to cause disease was weakening. Health authorities announcing the easing in their areas have not mentioned the protests, the biggest show of civil disobedience in China for years, which ranged from candlelit vigils in Beijing to street clashes with police in Guangzhou. The measures due to be unveiled include a reduction in mass testing and regular nucleic acid tests, and moves to allow positive cases and close contact to isolate at home under certain conditions, the sources familiar with the matter said. That is a far cry from earlier protocols that led to public frustrations as entire communities were locked down, sometimes for weeks, after even just one positive case. The frustration boiled over last week in demonstration of public defiance, unprecedented in mainland China since President Xi Jinping took power in 2012, and come as the economy is set to enter a new era of much slower growth than seen in decades. Russian forces tried to advance in eastern Ukraine and trained tank, mortar and artillery fire on Kherson in the south, the Ukrainian military said, as Western allies sought to buttress Ukraine and its neighbors against Moscow. In Washington, a $1.2 billion contract for 6 National Advanced Surface-to-Air Missile Systems (NASAMS) for Ukraine was awarded to Raytheon, the Pentagon said. Ukraine Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba said on Wednesday his country needed US Patriot missile defense systems to protect its civilian infrastructure, which has been under heavy attack by Russia at the start of winter. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Russian President Vladimir Putin had focused his ire and his fire on Ukraine's civilian population and warned Russia that its strategy would fail to divide Ukraine's supporters. At the NATO Foreign Ministers meeting, allies on Wednesday pledged to help Moldova, Georgia and Bosnia-Herzegovina as they face pressure from Russia, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg and ministers said. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova said the outcome showed NATO was absolutely not interested in a political and diplomatic solution in Ukraine. The Israeli military has killed 2 Palestinians during a raid in the occupied West Bank's Jenin Refugee camp after heavy clashes erupted, Palestinian officials have said, bringing the number of Palestinians killed in the last 72 hours up to 8. The Palestinian news agency WAFA reported that the men killed on Thursday were 27-year-old Naeem Jamal al-Zubaidi and 26-year-old Mohammed Ayman al-Saadi. Another man was also injured. The Jenin Battalion of Islamic Jihad's Al-Quds Brigades said that the men killed were 2 of its leaders. The Israeli military said troops came under fire and shot back during a Jenin area raid to arrest suspected militants. The bodies of the 2 men were carried by Palestinian crowds from the Ibn Sina hospital through the street of the Jenin refugee camp. Fatah and other Palestinian factions have called for a strike in Jenin on Thursday in protest over the killings. In a separate incident on Wednesday, Israeli forces shot dead a Palestinian during a raid in Jabad near Jenin, medical and military officials said. WAFA named the 25-year-old as Mohammed Taufik Bradina. At least 2,000 pro-democracy fighters have been killed in Myanmar, battling a military junta that seized power last year, the head of a parallel civilian government said in an interview aired on Thursday, urging allies to provide military aid. Duwalashila, acting president of the National Unity Government (NUG), comprised of remnants of the administration of deposed leader Aung San Suu Kyi and others, was speaking to the Reuters Next conference from an undisclosed location in Myanmar. The military has branded him and his colleagues terrorists and banned citizens from communicating with them, but their parallel civilian government enjoys widespread support. Allied armed groups known as People's Defense Forces have emerged across the country. Duwalashila has been pictured visiting troops, who include former students and professionals driven to the jungles by military crackdowns, clad in a flak jacket and helmet. The Southeast Asian nation has been in turmoil since the military seized power in February last year, reversing a decade-long democratic experiment and used deadly force to crush protests. Egypt plans to award deals next year to build 21 water desalination plants in the first $3 billion phase of a program that will draw on renewable energy, the CEO of the country's sovereign fund said on Thursday. Egypt, which recently hosted the COP27 UN climate talks and is trying to boost investment in renewables, also aims to start production on its green hydrogen project in 2025-2026, Ayman Suleiman told the Reuters Next conference. The government's water desalination program aims to generate the production of 3.3 million cubic meters of desalinated water daily in the first phase and eventually reach 8.8 million cubic meters daily. There had been expressions of interest from more than 200 developers from at least 35 countries for the first phase, Suleiman said. For green hydrogen, the government converted 9 out of 15 Memoranda of Understanding (MOU) for projects concentrated in the Suez Canal Economic Zone into framework agreements during the climate talks in Sharm el-Sheikh last month. At least another 3 or 4 MOUs were close to being converted and more MOUs were planned, Suleiman said. That is the size of top accurate global news update. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy Thursday.